Everyone is looking for some kind of information, some kind of hero.
It's a universal story of, you know, the underdog, the little guy, finally coming out on top.
It's the masses rising up.
It just shows to me the kind of power of symbolism in its various forms.
Revolutions have been fought over these types of differences of opinion.
Our story begins along the Dalmatian coast, an exotic panorama filled with fabled places like Montenegro, Bulgaria, Macedonia, and Herzegovina, and the tragically war-torn and politically ravaged Republic of Serbia. Serbia. From the moment their bold flag was proudly flown, their destiny would be one of war and misfortune for over 1,200 years. Belgrade, Serbia's jewel box-like capital city, was leveled by 30 different armies, including the Austrians, the Russians, the Turks, and the Nazis, and a dark period of communism featuring the infamous Slobodan Milosevic. And not to miss out on the action, the US-led NATO forces relentlessly dropped bombs on Serbia for 78 days in 1999. Just 33 miles north of Belgrade, there is a dusty road that leads into a sleepy and poor farming village. Welcome to Zitiste, a town so small that you can't find it on any map, and noted historians barely recognized its existence. In the 14th century, ethnic Serbs discovered a village populated with just 1,000 people and gave it the name Zitiste, meaning wheat, the village's only harvest. In the late 1800s, Zitiste had a population explosion with 3,000 villagers, including 1,883 Catholics and 19 Jews. By 1940, Zitiste added 55 more people to its population, including the Catholics, the Orthodox. But the Jewish population had shrunk from 19 to 16. History does not record what happened to the 3 Jews. Although Zitiste escaped the front line of battle, they still managed to endure centuries of floods and crippling mudslides. In fact, most Serbians considered Zitiste to be cursed. In 2007, the villagers had had enough. The time had come to rise up and reverse their destiny, find a new hero, build a statue of that hero in the town square, and their luck would turn around. It would be their field of dreams. They considered the Dalai Lama, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and Martin Luther King. But those guys were taken. They had a revelation.
This is a very real and poignant honor that is being bestowed on me on having Rocky brought to another culture, because people from across the world many years later have taken the spirit of this character and made it their own.
U žitorodnom kraju Srbije, u mestu Žitište, podiže se jedna neobična skulptura. To je statua Rockiju.
In Rocky Balboa, the villagers of Zitiste found a new spiritual leader. They would build a Rocky statue, and it would be a beacon of hope and make them famous.
Nothing is beyond imagination when it comes to Rocky.
Rocky Balboa, the Italian stallion. He's captured people's imaginations all over the world.
These people in Zitiste have used that figure as their town hero that will protect their town from tragedy.
Morate razumeti u kakvu je situaciju ova država, pogotovo ovako jedno malo selo koje je među najsiromašnijima u Srbiji.
Našu opštinu pre 2-3 godine zadesila je jedna velika poplava, 6-7 ratova i nema pojma.
You're always going to get knocked down in war, and life is one big battle. But Rocky, he accepts defeat in the same manner he accepts victory.
Rocky je mnogo puta padao i dizao se. Što nama fali ovdje u Žitištu, u Srbiji, pa mislim i celom svetu treba.
It's the warrior who understands that he takes the pain, embraces it, and then fear is afraid of you.
A naša poruka svetu bi trebala bude da i mi imamo takvu snagu i volju.
Wish me luck, I'm gonna need it.
Svi smo mi Rocky. Se i angažovao i hoću da dam svoj pun doprinos ovom jednom velikom istorijskom trenutku.
Ideja je strašna. Najbizarnije što može bude. Što je bio Rocky kod nas? Da može u Filadelfiji još ne bio kod nas.
The Rocky movies have attracted millions of viewers, and people come to Philadelphia to run up these steps and see the statue.
It happens dozens of times a day. You can't go past that statue anytime, day or night, without seeing someone getting their picture taken in front of it.
The character of Rocky seems to be a very attainable and understandable hero because of that spirit to be recognized, to have one shot, to go the distance in your life, to be able to be standing and say, I am somebody. These people can relate to that, and that's something that every generation has gone through and will go through.
The decision to build a Rocky statue was unanimous, but this monumental task would require a dream team of relentless villagers to make it a reality. Zoran Babic, the powerful local politician who knew how to grease the wheels and work through the red tape. Boris Staparak, the Croatian artist that would pour his talent and life into this project. Predrag Amzazig, president of Agroziv, the most powerful chicken company in Eastern Europe. And Bojan Marcheta, the village hero, the dreamer who came up with the idea and would not take no for an answer.
Ideja je potekla od Bojana Marčete, kome kaže dosadilo da ljudima prve asocijacije na žitište budu svinjska kuga i poplave.
Ja sam idejni tvorac ovoga, znači prvi sam smislio ovu priču o Rokiju, ideja je meni pala na pamet i onda sam se priključio i mnogi prijatelji i pomažu mi dalje da ovo privedem kraju.
As the news spread throughout the village, the Rocky Balboa Association was formed, inspiring young and old to dream again.
Ja sam jedan ovde i od osnivača ovog udruženja. Čujte, ja ovde u ovom mestu, Žitištu, koje je sada centar, tako reći sveta, živim 57 godina. Zato sam se i uključio u ovaj pokret za preporod, za novu Srbiju, za ovu mladost koju vidite ovde danas.
Govorim sad o meni, čovjek sam koji uči decu da se bave sportom, ne nasiljem, ali evo sad jedan zanimljiv podatak. Rocky Balboa, kad se pojavila ta priča o žitištu, ceo košarkaški klub, svi smo se učlanili u klub ljubitelja Rocky Balboa, zvanično se učlanili.
Ja sam Rocky, ovo je moj klub, otvorio sam ga zato što sam osjetio jednu veliku energiju među momcima koji su to osjetili, imali ideju. Tu su i ratue koje su lepe i fantastične i tu su i lepe majice koje su oni oštampali pre neki dan. Ovo su naši prijatelji i vaši prijatelji kluba Rocky.
Vidim dosta omladine, puno energije tu i za cijelu ovu priču tog dana kulminira i da celom svetu pokažemo da Srbija je nešto drugo, a nešto je predstavljeno neki 15 godina iza nas.
Once people, young and old, male and female, find something worth living for, then they begin to live. That's when their real journey begins. Then you're ready to face life with the eye of the tiger.
The entire village would wait in anticipation as Zoran would give a passionate speech at City Hall. Zoran Kasilovic, the handsome mayor of Zitiste, was moved, and he gave his blessing to Bojan to build a statue of Rocky Balboa in the middle of town.
Opština Žitište je opština iz kruga privredno najnerazvijenijih opština u Vojvodini, ali Žitišćani zaista vredni ljudi, radni, preduzimljivi, a ono što je najvažnije, mislim da ćemo pokazati da mi ovde u opštini Žitište zaista želimo da načinimo jedan iskorak ne samo u okrugu našem, ne samo u Srbiji, nego malo i šire.
Rocky Balboa fever was everywhere. Even the reclusive Žitište Hunters Association would throw its weight behind the project.
Želim da se zahvalim našim domaćinima Lovačkom udruženju lovaca Žitišta. Živjeli, dobro došli. Molim te,
mi smo čestili lovački specijalitet, inače što je zastupljeno u našoj kući, gulaš od divlje svinje i srndaća.
Srdeć je, kako kažem, Big Bambi. Fater od Bambi.
Now, the only obstacle Bojan faced was raising the money to finance his dream and Žitište's future. Without knowing what a giant Rocky sculpture costs these days, Bojan turned to a huge corporate benefactor. Fortunately, one of Serbia's biggest conglomerates was located in Zitiste.
Ove godine na najvećem međunarodnom sajmu Srbije u Novom Sadu smo od 135 izloženih proizvoda dobili 126 medalja.
Agraziv, Eastern Europe's largest chicken company. They process 8,000 chickens every hour.
I volim da budem uz pobednike, uz one koji idu napred. Tako da ova ideja jednostavno je sa naše strane i podržana od strane ove kompanije. Pružili smo svu našu moguću pomoć da dođe do realizacije ovog projekta, verujući, dakle, želja nam je da od ovoga krene nešto novo u ovoj sredini.
Svi žele da budu jaki, svi žele da ojačaju, da se nešto promeni, pa i to pile, taj peta u stvari, i on pokazuje neku snagu, i ovaj Rocky.
Upravo tako, naš petao simboliše jednog moćnog, snažnog pobednika koji je lider u proizvodnji živinskog mesa. Ako ste našli neku sličnost sa Rockyjem, ona se upravo u tome nalazi.
The chicken mogul loved the idea and agreed to back the sculpture as long as it was unveiled during Chicken Fest, sponsored by Agraziv.
Chicken Fest, otkrivanja statue, Rocky Balboa, generalni sponsor, kompanija Agraziv Pančevo i Skupština opštine Žitište.
With money in the bank, it was time to find a sculptor. Bojan reached out to world-renowned sculptor Thomas Schomburg, the artist not only responsible for some of the most compelling sculptures around the world, but the man behind the original Rocky in the city of Philadelphia.
In February of this year, we received an email from Zitiste, and the request that they would love to purchase a large Rocky statue. So we began correspondence and tried to accommodate their request.
On je rekao svog dela odriče koji $1,5 miliona i dao bi nam tu statu po ceni od $1,5 miliona.
We talked to the people in Serbia and we told them to use their money for their town and for whatever they needed as far as restoration of their village to help their own people.
Predložio nam je da te pare, ako imamo, a nemamo ih, da ih iskoristimo za nešto drugo, a da nađemo nekog lokalnog vajara, skulptora.
Bojan nearly fainted when he heard the price and was forced to find a local artist to emulate Schomburg's unique style at a more reasonable fee. Enter Boris Staparak, a Croatian multimedia artist responsible for over 200 sculptures.
Bitno je naglasiti da u umetnosti najveći deo nije cena, nego davanje sebe. Umetnost ne zna šta je to novac, umetnost je iznad svega toga.
His art and approach utilized the concrete and classical chisel style, reflecting unrepeatable imagery.
S tim što je on odmah u momentu rekao, odričem se 5.000 evra, znači 5.000 evra košta ova statua, američka košta $1,5 miliona, mnogo manje.
With Boris on board, the Rocky dream was ready to become a reality. The mayor spared no expense for this historic event and had the village clear out a stable behind police headquarters so that Boris would have his own studio.
Meni je studio gdje god stanem, gdje god sam našao materijal, meni je sve studio. Prostor je dobar, svaki, jer inspiracija je energija koja je veća od prostora. Prostor ne znači ništa. Pa najveća inspiracija je za mene Michelangelo. Moj svet Michelangelo.
In my case, I selected a period of history called a classical period in which I represented Rocky in a contrapposto pose, which is a slight break of the hip. The arms are straight up. The face has very little expression. And of course, lots of input from Sly, what he was hoping for in terms of that gesture, that figure, that image. The process was to create a model, first of all. That model was 28 inches high, and I model in a wax material for more detail. Once that particular model was approved by Sylvester Stallone, then it was enlarged to the required size for its role in the movie. So that's how the piece came about.
Skulptura se radi u modeliranom betonu, to je tehnika koju sam ja usavršio zbog scene samog izvođenja. Bitno je ovdje naglasiti da u dizajniranju skulpture se radi prvenstveno u postavku njenog kostura, onda idemo na mišićnu muskulaturu i sve ostalo kao da gradimo čoveka.
I love the fact that it's cement, it's mortar, it's stone. I think it's great. And I love the fact that it's different than the one in Philadelphia.
The villagers of Zitiste were euphoric. But they didn't know that their choice of Rocky Balboa had fueled a major battle 2 decades earlier in a faraway place.
Philadelphia salutes its favorite son, Rocky Balboa.
Beautiful. Definitely a thing of beauty.
I don't know, what do you say to something like this?
The notion of Rocky Balboa as an object of art versus trivial movie prop would be subject to a very public and heated clash in Philadelphia.
When I was contacted by Sylvester Stallone to do this piece, it was specifically designed for a part in the movie. Having said that, what I wanted to do was create something that I would find a handsome piece of art as well. Once the piece was created and placed at the top of the museum steps and used in the movie, Sylvester Stallone certainly okayed the city to have the piece on a permanent basis.
Sylvester Stallone originally unveiled the statue back in 1982 at the top of the steps, but purists argued it wasn't art.
The board of directors said that this is not what we want in our museum, with a little bit of highbrow.
Well, there's no direct connection between the museum and the sculpture. The sculpture, in fact, that's the problem. The Art Commission said, you know, that's really not a piece of art. It doesn't belong at the top of the museum steps. Then people started butting heads. Well, is it art? Isn't it art? Where did it come from? What's it for?
Art is in the eyes of the beholder, and there are a lot of other beholders besides just some affluent board of directors.
It's definitely art. It belongs, it's any sculptor is art.
I think it's sculpture of a certain kind, yes, I do.
I have seen worse pieces, I've seen better pieces, but it's a fad. So I don't approve of the location. I think it's more appropriate someplace else.
I don't believe it's out of place right now.
Where are you from?
I'm from Chattanooga.
It's a class struggle, I think. It represents the middle and lower classes against the upper class.
Well, the battle is that the ordinary people who don't live in the suburbs, who aren't members of the Art Museum Board, who don't drink martinis and have fancy cocktail parties, want this there. And if the people of Philadelphia want it there, it ought to be there.
You know, if someone had created it to be a piece of art, then there might have been a different take on it. So it didn't start out as a piece of art. It started out as a movie prop.
Well, I think the word prop, not sure if it's an adjective or a noun in this case, but we can't take the creative process out of the end results just because its end results was to be used as a movie prop.
Well, why is the museum not a prop? I mean, just because it's here permanently, they used it in the movie too.
Perhaps one could say, is it plaster? And then once the filming is done, it's destroyed and taken away? Absolutely not. This was designed as a monumental sculpture to be placed permanently in the city of Philadelphia, representing their great hero, Rocky Balboa.
This is a symbol, the same way the Greek Revival architecture here is a symbol. This is a symbol of Philadelphia, of the common man and his battle against the odds to succeed.
The debate would heat up as the museum won the first round and the Rocky sculpture was moved to the Spectrum, a sports arena in downtown Philly, where Rocky had once faced another opponent.
It's kind of like the little kid from downtown who finally made it to Broadway and he's up on the Art Museum, and then all of a sudden somebody sees him and says, no, you get back downtown to the Spectrum where you belong.
When it wasn't here, a day didn't pass that someone didn't come in and ask us where the Rocky statue was. And you'd say to them, it's down in South Philadelphia at the sports complex, so that just made it inaccessible to people who really wanted to see it.
Yo, Philly! How you doing?
Popular demand for their hero would bring Rocky back to where he belongs.
With the conclusion of Rocky Balboa, the last movie, I think it touched everybody's hearts once more, including the city and the Art Museum. A write-in campaign started to return the Rocky, and I know they had well in excess of 100,000 signatures to have this piece returned.
Now in a compromise, Rocky's back, permanently, at street level just a few feet from the museum steps.
The museum was aware that you can put the statue wherever you want. These steps are going to be the Rocky steps, no matter what you do. So the museum supported that, and we're delighted that people run up the steps and throw their arms in the air.
And now Rocky is back at the Philadelphia Art Museum. So he's traveled a bit.
I'm so lucky to have come across this character, and it's really unusual. In Philadelphia, people call me Rocky. They assume I am the character.
I love you, Rocky.
And when I was younger, I went, oh, no, there's two people here. And now, as an adult, I say, call me Rocky, because I'm very flattered to be associated with that.
As the news spread in Serbia of the chosen new hero, a similar debate was now raging on.
Eto, pravoslavlje samo po sebi, inače verujem i sama crkva je, kada su u pitanju ovakve statue, da tako kažem, i uopšte idoli, nije u skladu sa našom verom, i to baš pokazuje veliku krizu identiteta. Jer čovjek je biće koje traži smisao svog života i ako ga nije našao onaj pravi, on će morati da nađe nešto drugo. A s obzirom da...
I wouldn't have picked Rocky Balboa particularly, but that's the American influence, I guess, eh?
Why don't you just do a Pamela Anderson? You get way more tourist attractions to see Pamela Anderson in Zitiste.
Ta grupa momaka što su to osmislili i to je neka ideja njihova bila, moje bi recimo bila Zoran, evo.
Ko zna cara Dušana? Cara neki, znači, regionalni neki naš junak, znači ne ide dalje od granice. Rocky je nešto fenomen.
Just because a lot of people all over the world don't like the Americans, they don't have to look at Rocky and say, oh yeah, he's an American.
American, but not American, it is Italian as well. It is the man of the war.
You know, Philly can have a statue of Rocky, why not Zitiste?
Although most supported the idea, there were some who were not that enamored with Sylvester Stallone.
U principu ja, evo da budem iskren, znači Stallone kao glumac mi se uopšte ne sviđa, ali jednostavno nije bitan Stallone u toj celoj priči, bitan je znači lik koji on glumi.
The insulting comment about Sylvester Stallone's talent would cause an uproar.
Dobro, jesi. Ali, brate, ispričao je da je s tobom isto u zabavišti dok svoje i njegov vama zajedno radi.
Zoran was infuriated and asked us to stop filming.
Ovako nam kaže, on može da pita koliko god hoće na ulici. I da on kaže da je to jedan šupak, majmun, ovo, to ne da. Ali, kad je udruženje građana, dvojica momaka koji smo stavili, i da on priča kako se ne da život, znači molim te nek stavi bazu, Igora, ponovno ispričaju, ispustite mi tu želju, a nek on montira što hoćete da me ne bi srčko srepio, jer se do 3 meseca pripremno, znači sve sam batalio u životu.
Neki ljudi misle i smatraju da je to veoma smiješno, ali ljudi ovo pretežno rade da bi nešto pokušali da urade od ovoga mesta, zato što ovo mesto to je nešto što je najmanje zaslužilo, ali ovo je stvarno nešto što može da zaživi i što bi podiglo ovo mesto.
Ono što je sigurno da postavljanje statue će sigurno biti turistička atrakcija.
Pa za sad imamo ideju da pokrenemo likovnu koloniju koja će biti međunarodnog karaktera, ali jedno što razdoznamo je na temu Rockija.
These people are very deep people. They've understood the peaks and valleys, the happiness and the suffering of life, a lot more than many other people in the world that have not gone through this incredible difficult journey.
Just 10 years ago, this country was in great trouble. And I felt badly when we came down through the river and I saw the bridge that we took out. And I just feel good about the fact that we can come back and say, look, our differences are of a minor nature in the course of history.
These people see something in the simplicity of Rocky, being a man who has very limited tools, but what he has is heart. And heart, I always would believe, will overcome muscles and weapons. And these people seem to have seen that in Rocky, and I'm very grateful they have.
Pa još kao mala gledala sam sa bratom i ocem film i shvatila sam poentu i tada. I sada kad su povezali to sa nama i našim selom, to pravi način da se pokaže da smo mi imali velike probleme, ali da uvek treba ići dalje, dignuti glavu, upravo kao i Rocky.
Rocky, on je postao ovde mit. On je za nas postao mala svetinja sada. Za jedno malo selo, jednu malu provinciju, nama je drago. Mi nigde ne možemo da odemo, ali dobro došli vi kod nas. Pa ćemo mi da vidite ko smo to u stvari, svi mi zajedno. Slobodu, jednu veliku, I to je to.
As completion of the Rocky sculpture was within sight, news would spread beyond Serbia. Zitiste was finally on the map.
Ideja o podizanju skulpture legendarnom bokseru Rockiju izazvala je veliku medijsku pažnju ne samo u našoj zemlji, već i širom sveta.
Ali s obzirom da je vest za 5 dana obišla ceo svet, to je već fantastično. I ne bilo čudo što se tako svi dobro osjećaju.
Čitav svet objavio tu vest, preko 17.000 internet stranica, ABC, BBC, Al Jazeera, CBS, ostale štampane novine poput Le Monde, Spiegla, Guardiana, Independenta, Chicago Tribune, New York Times, tako dalje.
Donc je suis venu voir comment les choses se passent concernant le projet Rocky Balboa à Zitiste. On s'est aperçu qu'il s'agissait d'une vraie histoire. On est venu voir.
Inostrani mediji su ovu priču nazvali, ovu statu su nazvali statua nade. To u stvari jeste, znači oni su tačno pogodili šta treba.
Media from around the world would descend upon the village. They would have their first international press conference.
Datum otvaranja je 18. avgust, znači 3 dana će trajati ta manifestacija. Verujte mi, dosta ovdje me poznajete, znači ako vam kažem da će to biti na jednom vrhunskom nivou.
Šta posle Rokija? Šta će Zitiste dobiti? Šta će biti posle? Šta još nameravate u vezi tog učinjenja?
Planiramo naravno turizam, prevashodno privukli smo pažnju, znamo da ako, ne znam gde to na zapadu, ovaj jedan baci sir, onda se njih 100 kotrlja za njim po brdu i to gledamo svake godine na prvom dnevniku.
Za sve vas pitam, da li imate saznanje da li je Stallone možda počeo da razmišlja da snimi neki Rocky broj u 6-7 u Žitištu?
With the unveiling now only one day away, Boris would spend every waking hour putting the finishing touches on Rocky.
Sad se nalazim u fazi stvaranja onoga duhovnog iz skulpture koja treba da pokrene skulpturu, u stvari da je oživi. Onog trenutka kad ta skulptura počne da živi, u stvari da diše, ona je gotova. Sigurno da će izdržati test vremena, a da li će postati velika skulptura, to će reći samo vreme, jer to mi ne znamo. Možemo samo da primetimo da smo stvorili nešto iznad skulpture.
These people, they see Rocky as a symbol of hope, and they're absolutely right, because he is a symbol of hope. He's a symbol of enduring faith, no matter what.
Rocky, his whole life was a 1,000,000-to-1 shot.
The day of great hope and inspiration had finally arrived. It would be a heady time for the town that had come a long way. Thousands upon thousands showed up to play a part in festivities, including rock concerts, feasts of chicken products, and a strongman competition. The eyes of the world were now on Zitiste, erasing centuries of pain and suffering. Zitiste would hold the greatest festival that Eastern Europe had ever seen.
Zitiste, centar sveta.
For the first time in nearly 2,000 years, the people of Zitiste had a reason to celebrate.
I was hoping that they would do something very unique in their own interpretation that reflects their culture and the way they interpret the character. So it's great.
3 days of festival and bands and parades. I mean, all of the activities that occurred in this village, it kind of harkens back to the early days of the Renaissance when they would celebrate the creation of a piece of art.
Agraziv Chicken head honcho Predrag Amzazig couldn't have been happier.
Ja sam čovjek koji u sebi imam puno emocija. Nikad se ovako dobro nisam osjećao. Verujte, kada okupite sve što je najjače u pop roku i roku u Srbiji, u Žitištu, kada okupite najjače ljude sveta, kada vidite toliko raspoloženih ljudi u Srbiji, pa mislim kako se čovjek osjećati.
At the stroke of midnight, in front of an audience of thousands, the moment that Zoran, Bojan, and Boris had worked so hard for had finally arrived. It was time to show the world that Zitiste had a new hero. Rocky Balboa would make Zitiste famous.
To the people in Zitiste, I would just like to tell them from Philadelphia, a warm hello, and always maintain that element of courage and hope and fortitude that's so symbolic of Rocky Balboa. That's the most important thing we can tell you and send you from the great city of Philadelphia.
Sve je prolazno. Žitište je večno, Srbija je večna. Rocky je večan.
I want to say that I am incredibly proud to have been given the opportunity to write the character, and I want you to know it's my gift to you because I know all of you, inside of you, are all real live Rockies. So never say never. Always keep fighting.